Hello, my beautiful friends. My name is Ami Rivera, and welcome back to this channel, Ami Presence, where I talk about all sorts of things having to do with self awareness, self love, and living your authentic truth. Now, today I want to make a very special video that's going to be about how I discovered my authentic self and essentially disconnected from the matrix completely and became who I am now. I I say became who I am now, but really it was more that I remembered who I always was, and I let go of so many limiting beliefs and things that were blocking me in my fullest self-expressed version. And I let go of a lot of fears. I decided that I wanted to be who I really was, and I had no idea what that was going to look like. I had no idea how I was going to even survive in this world that seems to suppress our individuality so much, and it devalues our individual unique selves so much to the point where we almost just we're so disconnected from that, right? So let me get started by saying welcome and thank you for being here, and I'm so happy to share my story with you. And ultimately that's all I can really do is share a perspective on the ultimate truth, because really we're all just fragments of this universal being that I like to call consciousness or source or unconditional love. So, with that said, I just want you to take this as it resonates for you, and whatever does not resonate with you, trust that your heart knows why, and that's okay, you know? So, I want to say, let's see, where do I want to start? I have so much to say, but this is going to be a shortish video, I promise. Um, Growing up, I always asked myself this question. I swear to you, like from the time I was a child, like a very young child. I remember feeling like this kind of existential depression from a very young age, and I would be in my in the passenger seat. My dad's driving. I grew up with my Mexican immigrant parents, mom and dad, and I had three sisters, two older, one younger. And I'm like this awkward middle child. If you're a middle child, you know what's up. And you're just kind of there, and you're just kind of this observer. I think the middle child ended up being the observer in so many ways, right? So that was my role for that time when I was a little child, and I would be looking out the window, and I remember just looking out the window of the car as my dad was driving us to church or to a relative's house or wherever, and thinking, why am I not that person in that car over there? Like, why am I in this body? What's going on here? Like, I see that there are other people, but I can't read their thoughts, and I don't know what they're feeling inside of them, but I want to know, and it frustrated me so much. Like, I don't know if any of you experienced that feeling, but I don't know if I was just unhappy with my own life. That could have been it, or if this was the beginning of just this grand kind of spiritual awakening that led me to this moment. But I wanted to know why I was me and why I only had this expression within myself. And nobody could answer that question for me. I knew. And I didn't even try to ask my parents, because when we would go to church and stuff, I could already sense deep inside of me that there was something missing from this Christian religion that I was, born into. Even though I found a lot of peace in singing the music, gospel, and that like faithful feeling that you get when you're in a church and everyone's just singing the songs, right? I think we can all say that that's a very beautiful aspect of the Christian religion. However, there's so many other things, right, that just did not resonate for me. And growing up with all these kind of deep questions in my mind, it just kept me in this state of fear, of this uncertainty feeling. And it wasn't just those questions, it was the fact that life was so chaotic around me. I grew up with a lot of traumatic experiences. I don't go into the details too much right now, but I can say that I saw a lot of suffering from my parents who were immigrants, who just, you could say they made their mistakes. You could say that they just were going through what they were going through as individuals, and had very little space and presence to fulfill a child like me's needs. A very highly sensitive, empathic being that came in with all these questions and a lot of wisdom, even. So I felt very isolated as this middle child growing up and having all these questions. And it seemed like my sisters were just living their lives, and they were in it too. They were with me through the thick and the thin, right? But I always felt very different. Let's just start from that. So this feeling of why am I me and who am I really bled into a series of other questions that were blended with this Christianity belief of, am I doing the right thing? Am I behaving as a good girl in God's eyes? Am I behaving as a good daughter, a good, ultimately a good person through the eyes and the story of Jesus Christ and the story of Christianity, right? So this haunted me for years and it was always a question in my mind of, am I doing the right thing? And so it ultimately just completely stifled my expression of myself, because I always had to filter my response to people and my behavior always. And I was always very self-aware enough to do this, right? Some people, they might grow up with the same religion and stuff like that, but they might not really apply it to themselves so deeply in the way that I chose to do so for whatever reason. And as a kid, I just thought, I need to be perfect. I need to make sure I don't make my parents upset. I need to make sure that I have good grades. I need to make sure that people like me. I need to make sure that I don't get rejected or abandoned by God Himself, by God itself. It was just this deep, deep fear. And it came not only from certain points of rejection from my parents, little moments here and there that you remember. That, for example, one time when I was maybe 5 years old, and all I remember is my mom smacked me for some reason. And I just thought in my mind, like, I was just trying to help you. I don't know why you just betrayed me like that when I was trying to help you. And I didn't understand. I was just a kid. I don't even remember the story of what I said or did that, she got upset at for whatever reason and decided to smack me and to change my behavior. And it's those little moments like that, and even like worse kind of moments of abuse, right? I would get hit, and we would have to go hide under the bed and things like that. Started, right, conditioning me to stop trusting my own heart, my own intuition, and start filtering my behavior through the lens of fear, the lens of fear of rejection, the lens of fear of abandonment, the lens of fear of eternal damnation. And um, that's basically, the fear of, I'm not enough, and I'm not going to be loved because I'm not doing the right things in terms of what my parents say and what my sister maybe wants me to do and what everybody else wants me to do, essentially. So that was a long winded intro, but I needed to kind of go into that because I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And I decided at a certain point, I get to college and I started to feel freedom for the first time. Freedom from my parents' auras, freedom from my family's auras, their energy, their thoughts, their conditioned beliefs and behaviors. And while I was being inundated by other beliefs and behaviors and conditioning from the university I went to and the people there, I did still start feeling a freedom, and this sparked my spiritual awakening and my questioning of Christianity, my questioning of all belief, all religion, God itself, and what I am and who I am. That whole question just came back to me. And I decided that I needed to explore that and I needed to find the truth and stop sabotaging myself. Because at this point, I was 22 years old. I was smoking and drinking. I was partying. I was unhealthy. I was very underweight. I started getting cystic acne. I was in toxic relationships. Um, the whole shebang. It wasn't pretty. And I decided I need to learn how to love myself. I don't know how and what that's going to look like. I just know I need to do that and I need to do it quick. So it's been about how many years? 20, what is it, 2016? It's been about 6 years since I kind of made that decision and commitment to myself that I was going to love myself. And here I am today. The light at the end of the tunnel is so beautiful. And I want to invite you to feel that there is a sense of relief and freedom to understand, to understand who you really are, and to align your behavior to your authentic self, like individual, and not based on what anybody else thinks or says you should do, is ultimate freedom. It's the key to liberation. And it'll liberate you not just in life, but in death, because you keep exploring yourself and you keep realizing how infinite you ultimately are. And in that way, you're not even afraid of death anymore because you're truly living for the first time. You're truly living, and you know when you're truly living that life is eternal. So I could talk for hours about this, but I want to just give you at least one exercise that really helped me, I guess, master living in my authentic truth. And that is that I stopped asking myself first of all, what other people want me to do and what I think the right thing should do. I started to understand that there is no such thing as right and wrong, and that there is no good and bad and evil and heroes and villains. It's all a matter of perspective. It's all a matter of perspective. And so, what I want you to do is to close your eyes and drop into your heart whenever you feel a sense of anxiety or a sense of depression. And just ask yourself this one thing: what does my heart want in this moment? What does my true self want in this moment? What do I need in this moment? Not what anybody else expects from me. If nobody else existed, what would I need for myself right now? For my health, for my sanity, for my well being. And really take a moment to ask yourself that question, especially in moments of when you're feeling anxiety and pressure and negative emotion in general. You might not get a clear cut answer. You might not hear a voice. You might not see a visual of exactly what you need to do, or what would really be aligned for you. But be patient, and it might be very subtle. You might just start, if you've never done this before, you might just start feeling like crying, and that might be all you need to do in that moment, is just cry and let yourself release all the grief of all the suffering that you've been suppressing inside of yourself for so long. And that might be a while until you get all of that out, and then your intuition will start speaking to you in other ways. For some of you, it'll be really clear, and it'll be like, go do this, you know, go read this book. Like, you might get a flash of like, oh yeah, there was that book that I saw the other day that like spoke to me, but then I never like really opened it and started reading it. Or, oh yeah, there's that one person that I really want to say something to or reach out to. um, or maybe I just need to hug myself and hold myself and let myself feel whatever I'm feeling right now in this moment. Whatever it is that comes up for you, you'll know that it's true from your heart and your authentic self, because it will bring you to a feeling of peace, to a feeling of inner stillness, of inner calmness, of satisfaction, depending on your aura type, by the way, because I do like to incorporate my human design. It has helped me tremendously. This isn't always the case in terms of every time you ask yourself, you have to see if it's going to lead you to your signature. And for generators, that signature is satisfaction. For projectors, it's sweetness or success. For a reflector, it would be the signature of surprise. And for a manifester, it would be the signature of peace. So you could kind of gauge where you are on whether you feel these emotions on a daily level, whether they're very rare, or maybe you never felt those feelings in your life and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm inundated with conditioning and I can't even feel a sense of inner peace or satisfaction. And that's okay too. Because honestly, when I first started this journey, I was so far from feeling sweetness. I was I was feeling so bitter, and I was feeling so mad ultimately at life, and um like this was so unfair. And I was very much in that victim mentality. And if you are, it's totally okay. I'm speaking from experience that I've been there, and that you can truly change your life and increase your quality of life so much simply by doing this one thing. And that one thing is align yourself to your authentic truth, and don't let anybody come in between you and your heart and your desire, your true heart's desire, your true authentic expression. Don't do it. It's not serving them, and it's not serving you. I had to learn this the hard way so many times, when I learned that people pleasing was ruining my life, and I was in a constant state of anxiety and depression. And I decided that being selfish and appearing selfish to the people that quote unquote loved me was going to be painful, but it was going to be worthy of finding out and embracing my authentic self. So I just want to leave it there, because I know this video is getting a little bit long, but I hope that this message speaks to you. And if it does, please leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear if you got anything out of this video. And I will be sharing more about my story and more tips and secrets and things that you can do to level up. And I'm so excited to share those with you in this new year. I actually have a course that I'm creating right now, and if you're interested in that, it's called Healed. I literally just created this. It's called Healed, the Key to Lasting Inner Freedom. So if that sounds juicy and exciting to you, leave me a comment below and you can be pre-selected based on certain requirements. I'm going to send out a questionnaire to see if you're the appropriate person to take this course with me. And if you are, I'll put you in for the pre-list, whatever that's called. All right. I love you so much. Take care. See you in my next video. I'll see you soon.